I now reconvene the regular council meeting for Monday, February 9th, 2026. Before we get underway, we'd like to acknowledge that this meeting has been held on the homeland of the Tanaka people. And I'd like to welcome members of the gallery who are with us tonight and anybody who's dialed in from home and watching. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda of the regular council meeting of Monday, February 9th, 2026? Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Peabody. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adopt the following minutes of the special council meeting of Wednesday, January 21st, 2026, minutes of the regular council meeting of Monday, January 26, 2026, and minutes of the committee of the whole meeting on Monday, February 2nd, 2026. Mover, please. Councillor Ray, Councillor Graham. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks, guys. First up tonight is delegations. We have one delegation this evening with Missy Bazange from the Spirit of the Rocky Society is here to present regarding the upcoming 2026 Spirit of the Rocky Festival. Missy, the floor is yours, and I see you've got lots of support there, so.
Thank you. The City of Cranbrook's Spirit of the Rockies Festival is the cornerstone event that delivers meaningful economic, social, and community benefits to Cranbrook. The festival weekend is one of the most impactful weekends of the year for our community. As you heard, my name is Missy Bazange, and I am the chair of the Spirit of the Rockies Festival. We are a group of committed volunteers who work year-round to plan, organize, and deliver this weekend for the benefit of our community. Some have been part of the organization from its very beginning. Others more than 40 years, many 10 to 20 years, and newer members like myself who bring fresh energy, not energy, I don't bring any energy, and carry the tradition forward. In 2025, we added a 16-team soccer tournament to the weekend. One of the participating teams wrote us a letter that stated that their team dropped $10,000 in our community that weekend. $10,000 on accommodations, restaurants, and retail. Even if the team, with 80% of the teams coming from out of town, add in a 40-team ball tournament, so 45 out-of-town teams between the two sporting events, spending an average of $7,000 per team. That is a total of $315 injected directly into our local economy in one weekend, and that's just for those tournaments. The City of Cranbrook Spirit of the Rockies Festival also provides critical fundraising opportunities for local community organizations, service clubs, and youth groups. During the festival weekend, organizations raise funds through volunteer-led activities, pancake youth sports, community programs, local services, and facility improvements. For many groups, this weekend represents one of their largest annual fundraising opportunities, and I would say those funds would be between $35,000 upwards. Our annual budget is in excess of $150,000. The majority of those funds goes towards the purchase of local goods and services in and around our community. We rely on the support of our business community as well as the city in order to continue to provide first-class festival experience to both residents and visitors alike. We have always had a great working relationship with the city staff, and it does not go unnoticed or unappreciated by our volunteers how much the city staff does for the festival. Over the festival weekend, including visitor spending, fundraising activities, the festival operating budget, we estimate an economic impact of at least $500,000 within the community. That estimate is likely on the conservative side and does not fully capture indirect long-term economic impact. This year, we honor the Royal Canadian Legion as nationally and locally, they celebrate 100 years of service. Plans are underway to have some events that highlight this. This year, we have many of our classic events taking place, including our parade, the strongman competition, and the ever-popular wiener dog races. Central Fairground activities and tournaments, and we're adding new activities this year, including, a Battle of the Bands competition, new children's stage and roving entertainers, and a Saturday night concert. Why does the community festival matter? It strengthens the local economy by keeping visitor dollars in town. It builds community pride, connection, and volunteerism. It supports local organizations and long-term community programs. It encourages repeat tourism and future visitation, and it celebrates service, remembrance, and community spirit. For over 6 decades, the festival has been a powerful expression of the community spirit, uniting generations of volunteers, families, and visitors in a celebration of service and local pride. The festival offers something for everyone, whether through volunteering, participating, or simply enjoying the festivities as a spectator. Thank you for allowing us to share this vision for the City of Cranbrook Spirit of the Rockies Festival, and we hope to see you June 18th through 21st participating, spectating, or volunteering. After all, it takes a village to create a community festival, and we are proud to celebrate the spirit and the dedication of ours. If we can go into the So we just have a quick presentation to share. So what is Rockies Fest? For those of you who haven't celebrated at least once over the last 60 years. This year, the event will run from June 18th to the 21st and features over 40 events that cater to many. There will be a grand parade, live entertainment, the market, delicious food for everyone to immerse themselves in, community spirit, and we always welcome volunteers and sponsors. The festival is multi-generational, it's diverse, and it strengthens local pride. Families, youth, seniors, and all celebrating together, fostering connections and shared experiences across generations, from pancake breakfasts and thrilling sporting tournaments, vibrant cultural performances. There's something for everyone. And the Rockies Fest has become a unifying annual tradition, reinforcing Cranbrook's unique spirit and strengthening community bonds. A quick glance at a few of our over 40 events that take place. Sporting and recreation, food and dining, entertainment and culture, family activities, and community service. Why partnership matters. A joint commitment to celebrating local culture, supporting talent, and fostering community cohesion. The festival vividly reflects Cranbrook's unique identity, bringing residents from all walks of life together to celebrate, and working hand in hand amplifies the festival's impact and reach, ensuring a memorable, inclusive experience for everyone. The economic value. So we have local business boosts, we have tourism growth, we have annual tradition, we have long-term investments, not to mention the 3% hotel tax that goes directly to the city funds. This is a direct benefit to the city. As the festival fills the hotel rooms during the weekend, especially with the sports tournaments, these monies spent by the festival goers goes directly to the city. Our festival offers something for everyone, fostering connection and a shared joy across all ages and interests. Again, another look at the things that the festival offers to everybody in our community and everybody that visits. This isn't just another festival. This is the event of the year that defines Cranbrook's community identity. It brings together thousands of residents and visitors, celebrates local culture and talent, drives economic activity, and creates lasting memories. The festival's success depends on a strong collaboration between the Rockies Fest Society and the City of Cranbrook. Together, we can amplify its impact to ensure it continues to thrive for generations to come. The Rockies Fest Society invites the City of Cranbrook to join us in supporting this vital community celebration. By working together, we can achieve unparalleled success for our community. Let's make Rockies Fest 2026 the most successful festival yet. Together, we are stronger. Together, we celebrate the spirit of the Rockies. Let's make the most vibrant, inclusive, and successful Spirit of the Rockies Festival yet. We look forward to partnering with the City of Cranbrook and celebrating the community spirit, culture, and pride for generations to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Missy. Council, questions, comments? Councilor Stetsky?
Yes, thank you. Festival is always a highlight of the year for Cranbrook. As I was looking through the presentation earlier, one of the things I was wondering about was, is there like a budget that some of it which rolls over from year to year? And if so,
The money that we bring in, they're majority of it spent. 1 year we're down 3,000, 1 year we're up 3,000. With our budget annually, the money that we bring in, we try to expend. Typically in a year, we may have a couple thousand over 1 year, a couple thousand under 1 year because of weather and beer sales. So we run it pretty close to the line with what we bring in to put back into the festival annually.
okay, so there isn't sort of a set amount you try and carry over to make sure the next year can start?
No, but we have accumulated some funds over the years that we've been doing this.
Councillor Graham.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for all the work that has taken place over the years. It definitely is a highlight for the city, and I know I enjoy participating in different things and maybe the odd beer garden. So it's great. Just a quick question is, do you have any relationship or help from Cranbrook Tourism? Do they work with you at all on this with funding? And I just mentioned that because like when you talk about the hotel tax, it really works with them on that. So just how does that work, and helping drive this event even further?
Yes, Cranbrook Tourism have been a sponsor of the festival for the last number of years since they've been in existence, and we do work with them on putting the event together.
Further, Council Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, also a big fan of the Spirit of the Rockies Festival. I know in the past, like it's been downtown and now it's been in Ballman Park. And like I have no opinion either way, but are you happy with the location at Ballman Park? Does it facilitate the event quite well?
The reason that we moved it from Rotary Park, which we loved being in, but we really did outgrow it. It was packed to the gills and there was no more room. And we did expand it into the downtown area, but the opportunity to move it to Beaumont, where everything could be in one location as a central fairgrounds should be, really helped us to grow the event over there. So yes, we're very happy with Beaumont. We are a little concerned with the daycare and what's going to happen with the green space there right now for future growth of the festival. But we do really like it over there at Beaumont Park. It works well.
Great, thank you.
Further? Well, thank you very much, Missy and team. It was a team effort, and certainly, very much appreciated all the work you do and your commitment to the community. It's volunteers, and we're living in a time when it's getting tougher and tougher to get volunteers. So you guys are to be commended for all your hard work. So thank you so much. And thank you for coming to this city with us tonight. And, I think, an annual kind of get together presentation a couple of months maybe before Spirit of the Rockies or a Spirit Fest is probably a pretty good idea, just for the relationship building to make sure we're all on the same page. So thank you so much. Okay, we're moving into bylaws. First bylaw for consideration tonight is from Public Works Department regarding cemetery amendment bylaw number 4227, 2026. Can I please have staff provide a brief overview of the report and bylaw, which is before council tonight for first, second, and third reading? And we have Kirby has the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm bringing forward the amendment to the cemetery bylaw. In January 2025, I brought the new cemetery bylaw to be adopted, which included an increased fee schedule. At that time, we were directed to come back in a year to increase the fees an additional 20% to align our rates with fair market value and reduce the annual operating deficit. So I'm bringing that forward to increase the fees, and as well in this amendment, along with the fee increase, there are just a few additional minor changes to dates and times. So
Thank you, Kirby. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to the cemetery bylaw amendment bylaw number 4227, 2026? Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Blissett. Discussion. Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. Two questions, if I may. First question, has there been much opposition from the public with the increase in fees, or has anyone noticed?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I'm just wondering, has there been much opposition from the public with the increase in fees?
Councillor Peabody to the mayor. No, I personally, I have not heard anything about
Okay.
anybody having anything to say.
And
about
then,
it.
yeah, secondly, with the increase in funding, is that allowing staff to do more maintenance in the cemetery and just more beautification projects?
That's right. Councillor Peabody to the mayor. It is something that we have been putting some more attention to it. Yes, we are hoping to do that. We have increased our fees or our budget to give more attention to it. Yes.
Further? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion that council give second reading to cemetery bylaw amendment bylaw number 4227, 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Ray, Councillor Popoff. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give third reading to cemetery bylaw amendment bylaw number 4227, 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Graham, Councillor Peabody. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kirby. Next bylaw for consideration is from Engineering Development Services regarding municipal ticketing information system amendment bylaw number 4231, 2026. Bylaw is back before council tonight for adoption. And can I get a motion that council adopt municipal ticketing information system amendment bylaw number 4231, 2026? Councillor Ray, Councillor Stetsky. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Next bylaws for consideration tonight are also from the Engineering Development Service Department regarding official community plan amendment bylaw number 4232, 2026, and zoning amendment bylaw number 4233, 2026. For property at 5th Street South, can I please have staff give us an overview of the report? We have Rob on hand.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is the follow-up report to the one we brought forward at the last meeting for consideration of first reading of the OCP amendment to change the land use designation in two places. One of the amendments being parts of lots 218 and 219, which will be changed, which are proposed to be changed from parks and recreation to medium density residential, and then the designation of newly dedicated park from medium density residential to parks and recreation. This report also contains a proposed zoning amendment for consideration to go along with the OCP amendment, and the proposed zoning change is to change those portions of lot 218 and 219 from community recreation P2 to medium density multifamily residential AR5, and then change the zoning designation of the newly dedicated park from medium density multifamily to community parks and recreation. The area proposed for the R5 and medium density designation is approximately 3.13 hectares, and its land is basically adjacent to St. Mary's School. That's the way we are sort of identifying it. And yeah, this I guess this amendment would facilitate a medium density development. And as we've mentioned before, there was an expression of interest by Rotary in some city-owned land for undertaking a seniors housing development, and so this would be a potential site should council wish to pursue that agreement with them. And we'll be bringing something forward depending upon the outcome of these bylaws for council's consideration regarding that.
Thanks very much, Rob. Can I get a motion that council gives second reading to City of Cranbrook Official Community Plan, our Path to Cranbrook 2042 Amendment Bylaw number 4232, 2026, refer the bylaw to the Advisory Planning Commission for recommendation, and submit to a public hearing to be scheduled for 6:00 p.m. on February 23rd, 2026. Mover, please, Councillor Ray. Councillor Graham. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to the City of Cranbrook zoning amendment bylaw number 4233, 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Blissett, Councillor Graham. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And finally, can I get a motion that council gives second reading to City of Cranbrook zoning amendment bylaw number 4233, 2026, refer the bylaw to the Advisory Planning Commission for recommendation and submit to a public hearing to be scheduled for 6 p.m. on February 23rd, 2026. Mover, please. Councillor Ray, Councillor Bissett. Discussion. I'd just like to make a comment on this. As Rob had mentioned, this is a Rotary project, to give consideration to a Rotary project. It's a volunteer project that Rotary has initiated. It is for low-income seniors. It's not just a seniors project. It's a low-income seniors. They're going to be able to afford rent under $1,000, more likely around $800. I would certainly suggest that this is very good use of this land. When you go, anybody who wants to have a look, walk up there and have a look at that. You'd almost assume it was a parking lot, or just where they dump gravel or whatnot beside the school. It certainly isn't a park-like setting, when you hear the word park space. So it really, I think, is if you look at the future, seriously, a future park there. You've got St. Mary's School right there. It's, I don't know how many acres there, but they probably got a good 5 acres of playground right there. So you've got a playground immediately adjacent. So to me, I don't think it'd be good use of land putting a park there that would not be utilized. Secondly, I would certainly suggest that the people that would have an opportunity to rent at this location, when you look at the rent, that's all they can afford. Chances are, if something like this isn't available, they're going to be on the street. Okay, and that's something we need to think about. And I think it's really time to look. And I understand people, when something happens in their neighborhood, sometimes we're reluctant to see a project go on. We have a development right next door, that's 3-story, and I don't know, is it 30-some units? I think that this accommodates that very well. So, to me, I don't think it's, invading any realistic green space that has a future as green space. I think that this is an excellent location for this type of project, and I commend the Rotary for bringing it forward and, helping with our housing crisis that we have in this area with seniors. So thank you. On that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you so much. Next bylaw for consideration is from Recreation and Culture regarding recreation and culture fees and charges, amendment bylaw number 4236, 2026. This bylaw is back before council tonight for adoption. Can I get a motion that council adopt recreation and culture fees and charges amendment bylaw number 4236, 2026? Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Ray. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks. And the final bylaw for consideration is from the Engineering Development Service Department regarding zoning amendment bylaw number 4237, 2026 for property at 10th Street South. Can I please have staff provide a brief overview of the report and bylaw, which is before council tonight for first, second, and third reading? And we have Santana again. Floor is yours, Santana.
Thanks. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The application for the zoning amendment before you this evening is to rezone a property on the 100th block or First Avenue block of 10th Street South from R6 high density to R1 residential. The proposed development, or sorry, the rezoning of this site would facilitate a 11 lot subdivision ideally at the R1 size so that it can be 400 meter squared lots. The proposal right now is that we received for after rezoning would be consistent with the densities in the OCP land use designation, which is under a medium density residential. This permits between 35 to 80 units per hectare under medium density. And right now the proposal by the developer is to build 11 fourplex units. So this would give us the same amount of a 44 unit total development at the end. The biggest issue right now with the existing zoning is that the form that they want to build. So while the density might be in alignment between the medium density and the current zoning, I feel like I'm speaking a lot of technical things right now, so I'll slow down. Basically, they want to build fourplexes at the R6 level. While they're providing that amount of density, you're only allowed to build apartments at the R6 zoning. So this would allow them to build a bunch of for sale, fee simple fourplex units. And then it is being proposed at first, second, and third reading this evening as it's in alignment with the OCP, which prohibits us from holding public hearings or receiving comment.
Thank you, Santana. Can I get a motion? Here we go. Thank you, Santana. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to City of Cranbrook zoning amendment bylaw number 4237, 2026. Mover, Councillor Popoff, Councillor Peabody. Discussion. Just a note, I support this project. It's 44 units and it's townhouses. Certainly, townhouse market is more affordable to get into than a single family dwelling complex typically. So this will provide 44 new units. So I would view this as probably workforce level citizens can get into this type of housing. And these are for purchase. And, you know, I've been watching the trend, certainly with the federal government and the province on the housing situation. If you look at everything that's being built, pretty well everything, I would say 90+%, I think right across Canada, it's apartments. Sooner or later, we're going to have a housing crisis. People are going to be living in apartments. In 25 years from now, we're going to have a situation where people will not be able to afford to stay in those apartments. No income. As soon as there's no income coming in, will they be able to afford, you know, market level rentals? Unlikely. This is a good solution. You're building equity. You're actually going to own something at the end of the day. You know, what we're seeing is we're seeing the single family dwelling side is moving along well. We've got contractors taking care of that in Cranbrook. We've got apartments going in. We're starting to see some action on senior level housing. So I think that this is the next step. I certainly think townhouses and maybe condominium type situations are the little gap that we're maybe seeing in Cranbrook. So I think that this is offering a really good solution and filling in a little gap in our housing continuum in Cranbrook. So I support this project. Councillor Stetsky.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And so just to clarify, the intention is these units will be sold, not rented.
Councillor Stetsky through the chair. Yes, that's what the developer is implied with their application through subdivision and through their proposal.
Certainly a missing part of the housing market right now.
Yeah. And just of note, you know, I took a drive in the area on the weekend, and certainly there are a number of units already in that area, you know, that are a townhouse style of unit. So, and they're the newer ones in the area. So I think it fits really well within that area of the community. Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council gives second reading to City of Cranbrook zoning amendment bylaw number 4237 2026? Councillor Stetsy, Councillor Ray. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And finally, can I get a motion that council give third reading to City of Cranbrook zoning amendment bylaw number 4237 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Popoff, Councillor Ray. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thanks, guys. Now moving on to new business. First item new business tonight is from Engineering Development Services regarding development variance permit 2601 for a Wildstone parent parcel subdivision. Can I please have staff give us a brief overview of this report? Santana, again, you're on the hot seat tonight.
It's my show. This development variance permit in front of you this evening is supplemental to an application of subdivision for the remainder lands at the Wildstone development. You'll see on attachment 1 where the subject property is. Specifically, this variance will facilitate a parent parcel subdivision. So while it's under review to subdivide, the subdivision is under review to subdivide the remaining undeveloped lands in order to facilitate the sale of the vacant property. There's currently no construction or development proposed at the time. This specific variance seeks to vary the requirements of the subdivision and development servicing bylaw, which requires the installation of services and construction at the time of subdivision. So what they're looking to vary right now is when these services get installed. It would essentially defer the installation of services, installation of roads and utilities until a development plan has come forward. Staff can foresee an opportunity to work with a new landowner to help develop like a new long-term vision for this neighborhood. We're all aware that the original vision of 2007, 2008 of the Wildstone neighborhood is no longer feasible or kind of what Cranbrook is looking to see, nor what that we're seeing some conflicts obviously between what's being proposed over there and what we could be doing. So we do see a great opportunity for that. Further, that would allow us to work with them and identify what services are going to be there. And through the development of our Cranbrook area, northern area, city update and development strategy, we can make sure that these services and utilities that are going in there are appropriate, well-sized, and suitable for the whole neighborhood and Cranbrook's long-term vision. The developer has volunteered to register a restrictive covenant on the subject property to restrict any development until a suitable development plan has come forward. So, yeah, any questions?
Thank you for the report. Can I get a motion? The council approved development variant permits 3090.20.2601 to vary section 9 of the City of Cranbrook Subdivision Development Servicing Bylaw number 3633 2008 for Lot A District Lots 2593, 2869 and 2870 Kootenai District Plan NEP 83690, accept plans NEP 86333, EPP 103100 and EPP 67513. Lot G District Lot 2869, Kootenai District Plan EPP 67513, and those portions of District Lots 2593, 2869, 2870 Kootenai District shown as closed road parcel A on Plan NEP 86332, accept plans NEP 86333 and EPP 66879. Councillor Ray, pretty good on that one. Councillor Popoff, discussion. Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. So does this have any cost or benefit to the city?
Through to Mayor Stetsky or Councilor Stetsky through the chair. The like directly related, if you're saying cost benefit, not directly, but it would be the value of defining a long-term vision and knowing exactly what's going to go there. We're not installing services that go to nowhere. We're spending money working with the developer, sorry, that would be responsible for these offsites. We're doing it responsibly and effectively as opposed to just by the standard of the bylaw right now, which might be inappropriate. We're going through the subdivision bylaw update as we speak. So we're learning, what do we want to see in that area of town? So directly, we would see the benefit of this in the long run. Just a better planned community on that side.
Councillor Graham, then Councillor Popoff.
Yeah, no, my question was answered in that, so.
Councillor Popoff.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. With some of the previous public hearings, there's been the whole issue of strata versus city-owned utilities. Just for the record, these parcels that we're talking about now, when they do go forward for development roads, the piping underneath, is that going to be city-owned or is that going to be strata-owned?
Councillor Popoff through the chair. At the moment, there is no plan, development plan for this area, but it would be to the city standards. So they would become city-owned roads and city-owned utilities. So the existing Wildstone Drive, that is a strata road, would remain private, and we would kind of be able to draw that line at that private services and those private utilities, and move forward.
Very good. So it's going to be city-owned. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Popoff, or pardon me, Councillor Piwadi.
Thank you, Mayor. So Santana, to me, this variance makes sense that we're not putting utilities in the ground until there's a reason for them. What's a situation where we would not want to do this? Like where we'd want the developer to put the utilities in before subdividing?
Councillor Peabody through the chair. In a non-parent parcel subdivision, so parent parcel subdivision is when you're taking a large swath of land and subdividing a piece off, large parent-child kind of idea. If it were a non-parent parcel subdivision where there's already an established neighborhood, there's already services in the ground, there's gaps in the utilities or the amenities, that's when it wouldn't be appropriate to vary the requirement to install the services. Yeah, a little bit subjective to each application because we don't know what's in the ground where unless we're looking at it, but until we're, yeah.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Cause to me, I couldn't see why you'd want to do this any other way, but no, I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Councillor Stetsky.
Thank you. So assuming we approve this, what are the next steps that will be coming before council?
So, or Councillor Stetsky through the chair, the next steps would be that the covenant would get registered on title on all the properties there that would be affected by it so that no development could happen until services and roads were installed to the city standard. And then it would be up to the should the property sell, it would be up to the new property owner to come forward to the city and say, or we'll agree to work with them and collaborate on building that northern area plan, looking at what that Wildstone Phase 2, version 2 neighborhood looks like and what they're looking to see. And then we would work with them on that layout and what's appropriate. The next time it would come to council would likely be under a rezoning phase and an OCP amendment. So you can see what the neighborhood or what the new developer wants to put in place, and it would come to council for approval then.
Councillor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. So Santana, one of the points from the staff report that stuck out for me was that the current landowner is working to dispose of the land, says there is no interest, capacity, or resources to develop the remainder lands among the current land ownership group. So I think that's just important to highlight for the community. To me, this is a real practical issue that the current ownership group is saying, we cannot move this forward. So maybe, do you have any comments on that, just to help the community understand kind of the pragmatic nature of this?
Councillor Ray through the chair. That's exactly it. Thanks for highlighting that, because we would all love to see, Wildstone Vision version 1 have come to fruition. But there's obviously been a lot of handover. There's been a lot of change in their ownership group as well. There's been a lot of aging. So there's a lack of resources, lack of capital, and I think a lack of will at the same time to just kind of like pass the torch. So it's disappointing to see them not get there. It's also really exciting to see opportunity come forward.
Further? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Santana. Next item of new business tonight is also from Engineering Development Services regarding development variance permit 2602 for the BC Builds projects. Santana, you going to speak to that one as well?
The next development variance permit I present to you this evening is exciting to show you and provide a bit of an update on the site of the BC Builds development project. The development variance permit presented this evening is kind of threefold, generally towards site dimensions and parking design. The variance details for part 1 are to adjust vary the parking requirements. Right now, our zoning bylaw has a clause that permits small auto stalls for certain parking lot layouts, but the requirement is that there's a minimum of 50 stalls to allow small auto stalls. The bylaw is from 1996, so we're working with what we got. So the first part of that variance would be to reduce the minimum number from 50 to 34. And then the clause specifically says up to 20%. 20% of 50 is more than what we're requesting right now. So they're asking to vary it up to 40%, which would allow them to put in 13 small auto parking stalls. Variance number 2 would be to reduce the pavement width and the lane width for local standard roads under the subdivision and development servicing bylaw. The standard right now for a local road under this standard is 7 meters wide with 3.5 meter lanes, and they're asking to reduce the lanes to 3 meters for a total pavement width of 6 meters. And then variance number 3 is also to the subdivision and development servicing bylaw. There's just a standard requirement for street lighting to be installed at new development sites. So this would just waive the requirement to install street lighting on the section of road that they're constructing for the city. There's significant injection into vibrancy injection into our downtown and adjacent site is being done through this BC Builds project. You can see on attachment 2 and the preliminary site proposal. This again is preliminary. Things could still change because we haven't approved final development permit or building permit, but this BC Builds project has been a collaborative initiative to just bring that market rental housing to Cranbrook. The site does face many challenges, such as stormwater management issues from the Baker Gardens properties. It's got some strange slope topography, no road access or servicing requirements that were formalized from the previous development. So it's pretty challenging. It's in the middle of a development site that's a little bit contentious. So we're working with what we got. The rationale for the parking requirements would be reduced pavement width in general, more pedestrian dedicated space, and more vibrancy. You know, you prioritize people and you'll get more people. You prioritize cars, you'll get more cars. So that's for the parking stalls. The reduced road, the road essentially functions as a driveway to the Colonel Baker House and to the site. It should be, you know, less than, you know, it's an appropriate like laneway type style. So we're trying to reduce road width so that we can provide more of a pedestrian focused space, which makes for safer spaces. The proposed width would still comply with the requirements for emergency vehicles, so we're not competing with them. Further, the requirement to vary the street lighting or the request to vary street lighting is supportable because there are existing street lights already on the site, and there'll be some street light or some on-site lighting that should provide ambient lighting to the area. But then further, we understand that, you know, it's been used as a park space, or green space for this area. So imposing more street lighting would be might not be as valuable when we create the dark skies. So that's a general overview of all of those variances. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Can I get a motion that council approve development variant permits 3090.20.2602 to vary the following requirements of zoning bylaw 3977 2019, section 6.08D, to decrease the minimum amount of total stalls required to allow small auto stalls from 50 stalls to 34 stalls, and to increase the permitted amount of small auto stalls from 20% of the total stalls to 40% of the total stalls. The property legally described as Lot 1, District Lots 4 and 22, Kootenai District Plan EPP 7196. Mover, please. Councillor Popov, Councillor Blissett. Discussion. Councillor Graham.
Yeah, thank you. I just have a couple questions in regards to this. With the BC Builds program, who is the target renter? And do they have to qualify to be in there? What are they looking for?
Councillor Graham through the chair. BC Builds is a market rental focused program where 20% of the units have to be available at 20% below the local market rate. It is income bound by BC Housing because it is a partner program with BC Housing, and it's captured by the BC Builds and BC Housing work together to identify what Cranbrook market rates are, and they provide it. They identify what that 20% value is.
If I could just add something there, the housing task force that we struck a couple of years ago, one of the concerns we identified was workforce housing. And I think that this council was committed to workforce housing if we were going to be donating land and whatnot. So it was workforce and senior housing was this council's priority. And I believe that we felt that this qualified as workforce housing as well. Councillor Graham.
This is supplemental too. How many units what was it again? Sorry.
Yeah, Councillor Graham. They are proposing 34 units total. One of those units would be a 4-bedroom unit, group home kind of concept that is going to be subleased to Community Living BC.
And are majority of these 2-bedroom, or is that part of the requirement with the BC Builds? Is kind of a bedroom requirement or no?
No, we were able to identify exactly what we wanted to see at this site. And looking at our housing needs requirements of the assessment from the Housing Task Force, it was identified that 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units are priority in Cranbrook. But the CLBC unit, or community living 4-bedroom unit, is a partnership program to provide that resource.
Thank you. And I guess the reason I'm asking this question is I'm normally not I don't worry about parking, but this one here I worry about parking because if we're targeting it to workforce housing and we're looking at kind of the criteria around BC builds, it does worry me where I think we will have people that will legitimately have 2 vehicles with one unit. As some of the other things where we varied, it's not necessarily realistic that they're having 2. So I am worried about we're already going to small stall, which is tight in Cranbrook. A lot of people don't drive small vehicles. It's targeted to workforce housing. So to me, I'm going to be saying there would be more trucks. And I get it, it's downtown and we're trying to say, well, there's no parking, so don't rent it. But I don't necessarily think that that's the reality. So we will be looking at street parking as well with it. So I just have a few concerns around that, because if it is targeted for workforce housing and we're looking at that, I think we will see bigger vehicles wanting to park there and then not being able to. So that is a concern that I have.
Thank you. Councillor Stetsky, then Councillor Papa.
Thank you, Mayor. So just so we're clear, there'll be 34 stalls in total?
Correct.
And how far is it currently from the nearest transit station, bus station?
Councillor Zeski, to the chair, it's less than 500 meters, to like not even as the crow flies, using our active transportation routes. The quickest way is less than 500 meters, which is around less than 5 minutes.
Councillor Papa.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I'm just looking forward in the agenda and I see you're listing the proposed project, 34 residential units, 1 4-bedroom unit, which is going to be community living. So likely those people will not have vehicles. 7 of those units will be 2 bedrooms, so there might be need for 2 vehicles there. The vast majority, 26, are 1-bedroom units. So if this is workforce housing, 1 person, 1 vehicle. So, and then with the transit nearby, I think it still fits the intended purpose of workforce housing.
Thank you. Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. I know there's 2 like gravel parking lots beside the Baker home. Are those parking lots, are they part of the Baker home property, or is that public parking spacing as well?
Councillor Peabody, through the chair. Those are part of the Baker Gardens development project, but a condition we do have, or a provision we do have in our zoning bylaw, is you can have offsite parking. So if the BC Builds program wanted to, and the proponent wanted to coordinate with the Baker Gardens, again, they're both BC housing projects, so there should be some collaboration available. But there would be the ability to offer offsite parking available there.
Okay.
So,
but they would have to negotiate that with
that would be separate. It would be the responsibility of the operator to negotiate that with the operator of the other project.
Okay. And if it becomes an issue where people from this residence are parking on the Baker home property, I guess that's when bylaw would get involved. And
it would likely not be a bylaw issue, as it would be private parking. Like, I understand it's on city property, but it would be a private project. So it would be, bylaw could get involved, but we would ideally leave it to both operators to manage. We did identify that 34 units was, 1 stall per unit was appropriate based on the location of the project and the proximity to services and amenities, with the understanding that Cranbrook is still a very car-centric community and people do need parking stalls. So we weren't willing to eliminate parking altogether, even though many of the other BC Builds projects have done that. So that's where we're at.
Because just supplemental, if I may, at a Quantum Housing, did we reduce the parking there as well? And has that been an issue? Do we know?
For the Chief Agnes building over on Hurry Avenue?
Yeah, the Chief Agnes building.
That one, the parking was reduced back in 2008. But the parking lot is typically vacant whenever I drive by.
Okay, great.
Councillor Stetsky.
Yeah, I've been up to Aquantum a number of times delivering food for the food bank, and the parking lot's pretty empty. So I don't think parking's an issue there. Has any thought been given to providing some kind of bicycle parking here?
Councillor Sesky, yep, the proposed design does have secured bike storage proposed as well, and then additional bike parking throughout the site. I cannot recall if the inside has bike storage in one of their amenity proposed, but we can work with the developer on that.
Councillor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the conversation around parking and, trying to be mindful of people's needs. I think for me, the key thing to remember is this is kind of new for Cranbrook. We're going to have a development that's focused on workforce folks, that's right next to downtown, very close to transit, very close to bike trails in a very walkable spot. So I think this is a new opportunity for Cranbrook, and I look forward to supporting this motion.
Thank you. Just a comment. Yeah, I really look forward to the day that we look at a bylaw review and revision that's got to do with this parking. Certainly, my 7 years on council, my God, I don't know how many of these we've dealt with, and you're never popular. It doesn't matter what you do. I don't think it should be a decision of council at the end of the day. We've got a design professional that's required. It's no different than having a public hall or any other building. You need so many washrooms, you need so many parking spaces. So the building is basically designed for a certain intended use. It should be up to the design professional to determine how many parking spots are adequate for that building. And, I'd certainly love to see that 2 parking spot taken out of that right and leave it up to the design professional going forward. So that's my comment on that. I'll call a question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council approve development variant permit 3090.20.2602 to vary the requirements of subdivision development servicing bylaw 3633/2008, Schedule B, Table B, B1 for a highway standard 2 local road to reduce the minimum pavement width from 7 meters to 6 meters and reduce the minimum required lane width from 3.5 meters to 3 meters for the property legally described as Lot 1 District Lots 4 and 22, Kootenay District Plan EPP 7196. So mover, please, Councillor Bissett. Councillor Ray, discussion. Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. I know stormwater is mentioned in this report, but I also know that council has received numerous letters in the past regarding stormwater issues in this area. I just want to know what's going to be done, once the road goes in to help mitigate further issues down the road.
Councillor Peabody through the chair. Stormwater improvements to manage that issue are proposed as part of this development. The civil hasn't been fully approved, but that will be resolved with this development be done.
Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. When we look at this development and then maybe think about future development in the broader sense, I appreciate the comments in the report about decreasing pavement and that helps partly address stormwater issues. When we're working with developers, are we also having conversations about intentionally including semi-permeable materials? Again, because it's managing the stormwater on site, but also if we can prevent stormwater from hitting our system and having to go through our wastewater treatment plant, that will help us also extend the life of our infrastructure. So just any comments in general about, semi-permeable materials as a strategy?
Councillor Ray through the chair. Those types of standards we would work through the development permit phase. but I'm not sure, and I'm not sure exactly what the bylaws that we have. So let Mike speak to the bylaw components that regulate that.
Councillor Ray, through the mayor, it is something that we've generally looked at. It really needs to be solutions that are suited to the city of Cranbrook. So when it comes to permeable pavement itself, as soon as you introduce a lot of like sand and salt usage, then that can kind of clog up the porousness of that asphalt. And we also do have challenges where we have a lot of high groundwater or impermeable soils underneath, so it just can't get there. In some areas where we do see that through the geotechnical work, then we can do that, but it's sometimes more often done through looking at it like through dry wells or through underground storage containers that can then release into it. So the same concept supply of the more we can have on-site storage and retention and any on-site stormwater use that helps clean or decontaminate the soils is something that we're evolving and continuing, trying to keep working on that in relations to keeping our creeks impacted at the least.
Thank you, Mike. Further, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And finally, can I get a motion that council approve development variance permit 3090.20.2602 to vary section 9.3 street lighting of subdivision and development servicing bylaw 3633 2008, Schedule B, Table B1 for a local road under the Highway Standard 2 to vary the requirement to install street lighting for the property legally described as Lot 1, Districts Lot 4 and 22, Kootenai District Plan EPP 7196. A mover, Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Bassett. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. I just would like to note, I'd like to acknowledge our planning and engineering sections at this point in time. You guys got a lot of balls in the air right now, and boy, you're putting a lot of great work lately, so thank you so much. Final item of new business tonight is from Fire and Emergency Services Department regarding UBCM Community Resilience Funding. Scott's on hand, Chief Driver.
Thank you. Through to council, through the mayor. Just wanted to do an update on the UBCM Community Resilience Fund. The province of British Columbia announced about a week and a half ago that they were going to change how the UBCM CRI funding comes out to communities, and they had initially $175 million. They're down to $25 million remaining, and ahead of the provincial budget, they've changed the program. Kind of indicating that there's possibly not a lot more funding coming into the program. So they formally closed the open application as of January 30th and have gone to a closed intake, which comes on, opens on February 2nd. So we're very quickly trying to change our application, because what they did do is they removed the landscape treatment fuel prescription portion of the program to just leave the Fire Smart portion there. So communities are still allowed to ask for the same amount of money and funding. They're just no longer allowed to do prescriptions landscape treatment that includes logging and prescribed burning, which the city of Cranbrook has done for more than a decade successfully, and done some really good work in conjunction with what's happening on Crown land adjacent to us to protect our southern edge of the community and out near our infrastructure at the airport. So I feel like as staff, it's really important that we encourage council, and this was suggested in the open letter that the UBCM president wrote upon this announcement, to reach out to the Premier of British Columbia, to the Minister of Forests, and to our local MLAs. So I've attached a draft letter to those individuals in hopes that council and the mayor would send that off in their name.
Thank you very much, Scott. Can I get a mention that council send a letter to the Premier of British Columbia, the Minister of Forests, and our local MLA supporting the continued funding of landscape treatment within the Community Resilience Initiative Program. Sorry, Councillor Bassett, Councillor Stetsky. Discussion, Councillor Stetsky.
Thank you, Mayor. So there's no indication of other replacement funding coming to do that work?
Through Councillor Stuckey, through the mayor's chair is, yeah, it would seem that if the provincial budget's soon to be announced and they've changed the program this drastically, that they're looking at a shortage of funds in this area. And so their public facing reasons for not having landscape treatment is that it's quite complicated, onerous. There's large discrepancies across the province, but generally they've also closed the intake from an open intake to a closed because of the oversubscription and the lack of funding that's likely to be in front of us.
There's a reason for the oversubscription. It's because the need
I agree.
is there.
I fully support that statement.
Councillor Popoff?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So, this right away, I'm fine with the letter, but also this is perfect for a resolution through AKBLG and work its way up through the UBCM as well. It's just another opportunity to get that leverage and exposure.
Yeah, excellent idea. Further? Yeah, Scott, I look at this and, I appreciate, there's funding issues, with certainly the position of the federal government and the provincial governments right now. They're looking at Canada-wide and these big, province-wide projects, the larger scale projects. But when you look at a Fire Smart project for, one property essentially, and versus a larger scale prescriptions, it's apples and oranges. And, if you look at the Fire Smart program, you may lose one property or something like that, right? Where, you get rid of this large scale broadcast burning and prescription type of projects. Those are communities that you could be losing. So yeah, it certainly does warrant our attention on that. So thank you. Thank you. Further? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving into administrative updates. Scott's comfortable in his chair there. The first admin update tonight is from Fire and Emergency Services Department regarding the 2025 Q4 report. Floor is yours, Scott.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to council. So last quarter of 2026 was as expected for call numbers and distribution, as we saw consistent ratio of calls, 30% fire and rescue related and 70% medical, which is pretty much standard across the year or the years. With a milder fall and winter, we continued to see lower numbers of structure fires, but we are seeing more or an increased number of outdoor and miscellaneous fires, which are we're seeing them around the community. And what I would like to say is just on those outdoor fires, when people are driving around town, is we encourage everybody to call 911 when they see those, because in many cases, those fires that are being inappropriately used or in an inappropriate location, they are putting infrastructure at risk, people's businesses, homes, sheds, stuff like that. We're starting to see an increased number of those types of fires. And so as significant structure fires have gone down due to a reduction on pressure on heating systems, we're seeing some of the outdoor and miscellaneous fires causing a similar risk that we're hoping to address that way. With respect to medical calls, is we're pretty standard across the board with medical calls still. We've got overdoses back into the #1 spot with 65 calls in the last quarter, chest pains and breathing problems for 64 calls, and it goes down the normal ladder from there with about 30 types of medical calls over the quarter. The one thing that has changed, and we did know this was coming, was with the change in location of the shelter in the last quarter of last year, is that the call volume and the heat map that we produced to try and identify geographically what's going on in the community clearly identifies that we have higher call volumes in our downtown core around the new shelter area and around the seniors care facilities that occur in town. So that's not a surprise to us, but it is a change from when the shelter was located on the highway corridor.
Thanks, Scott. Councillor Stetsky.
Thank you. So with the fairly consistent results of kind of 70% medical and 30% fires, is the training that are given to staff and the hiring of staff kind of reflect that heavy emphasis on sort of the medical side?
I would say certainly it does. Yeah. And So throughout the career of a firefighter is if you're doing 70% medical calls, the training that you need is lower than when you're only doing 4 structure fires. And so we have a frequency equals experience kind of training formula. So we don't need a lot of training to maintain our skills, but on the intake side, we do have very high levels of training and certification on the medical side. And so the staff that are coming into us from our auxiliary pool into our full-time complement are generally very highly skilled. Many of them are working for the BC Ambulance Service before they come and work for us, and just to get experience and kind of that time in the field. And so we are seeing the younger staff are very prepared for what's in front of them, and some of the older staff are adjusting.
Further? Scott, quick question. A number of years ago, there was some of the software companies were talking about adding a section into the reporting where it's the dollar loss on a particular fire, particular event, dollars lost and dollars saved. Has that ever come about? And then you could track it. And then in the year, we so many we had this value of dollar lost in our community this year, but we have this value of saved as a result of the fire department. Did they ever come through with that?
We do have dollar loss and dollar saved values in our fire incident reporting system. I'm not sure if it's the most accurate because it's inputted by firefighters that are unique individuals when they're looking at what was saved and what was lost. And so the difficulty with creating accurate numbers and standardizing the system would be to where would the fire naturally have stopped? And so if we have a fire in a dumpster on the side of a building, do we assume the whole building was going to burn down and everything is lost, or just the adjacent structure? And so we do have trouble with that. We do collect that number though, and it is high. The dollar saved value is very, very high in this fire service in Cranbrook. We actually have a lot of fires on a daily basis. We see 1 or 2 fires a day, and if left unattended, those would have an enormous impact on the community.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I was going, because certainly, what I've recognized over the last few years is the response times have improved significantly, and they've been contained very early. We're not seeing a lot of complete losses, like they did back in the days. So yeah, Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Further, council? Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Next admin update is from Engineering Development Service Department. The first update is regarding the BC builds. Can I have Santana provide a brief overview of this report, please?
So, hello again. You guys got to see a bit of a overview of the BC Builds project site through the variance application that was presented this evening, but wanted to provide a few additional details. The project was awarded to Community Connection Society in partnership with City Spaces Development Consulting and New Dawn Developments as the construction contractor. We've been working directly with the BC Builds project team to get this project ready. We have every 3 weeks, we have a project acceleration group meeting. We're making sure everything's in time with the BC Builds requirements. And it's been pretty exciting to work through this project with them. It's good to see, pushing the envelope on a couple spots that might be, like Councillor Ray mentioned before, it's a little bit different than what we've seen in Cranbrook. So it's exciting to see a rental specific project on city-owned land within our downtown. So the development permit should be reviewed or should be finalized by the end of this month. And then they're hoping to bring a building permit submission this spring and construction summer 2026. So like I mentioned before, the preliminary drawings that you've seen are very preliminary. Not very preliminary. We're very close to getting there, but we just wanted to finish a couple of more details before we bring a approval or a final design forward.
Next update is regarding the cleanup of 22 Briar Avenue Northwest for the Knights Hall property. We have Curtis on hand to provide a little bit of a review of this project, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Now that the cleanup is done at the Briar Ave site or the Knights Hall, thought it was time to bring an update. So after council, you approved the 1.29 cleanup budget. We were ready and quickly got out a request for proposal document to hire a contractor to complete the cleanup ASAP. We saw 4 bids. Two of them were very competitive, and the successful contractor ended up being Scott Contracting and Excavation. They were from Kelowna. They are specifically set up to do demolition. That's the type of work that they do. Following that, they were able to quickly mobilize to site, and all of the asbestos containing materials were off the site before Christmas. So that was really great to see. We got some really good weather, and that allowed them to quickly move through the site and get that cleanup done. After the Christmas break, they were back on site and finished removing the foundations and concrete and just the rest of the general site cleanup. Due to their efficient practices and kind of good planning around the project, they were able to recycle a lot of metal off the site. There was close to 100 bins of metal taken off the site, so that's a significant amount of material that didn't end up in the landfill, so that was really great to see. They were set up with a large sorting magnet, so they were actually able to pull the metal directly out of the demolition debris. There was lots of testing to ensure everything was clean and safe, and what was contaminated was disposed of properly. So we're still tallying the final receipts, but the cleanup cost was about $830,000, not the 1.29 that we originally had estimated. So excited to say that it came in well under the budget we had proposed.
Oh, excellent news. Council comments, questions? Thanks very much, guys. Yeah. Now we move into correspondence. We have 2 items of correspondence tonight from the Spirit of the Rockies Society. Council will refer to staff to report back at a future council. Okay. Thank you. That brings us now to Mayor and Councilors' reports and inquiries. Let's start with Councilor Graham.
Nothing to report tonight.
Councilor Popoff.
Nothing to report.
Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. So on Friday, January 30th, I had the pleasure of filling in for Councillor Stetsky at the Seniors in Partnership meeting. And that's a very dynamic group. There is a lot going on around that table. So huge kudos to all the volunteers in our community who keep so many activities going for seniors. If you haven't had a chance to look at the calendar of activities for the Cranbrook Senior Center, you should have a look. There's a lot going on. So it was a pleasure to be at that table for that meeting. On February 3rd, I had the pleasure, along with Councillor Stetsky, of attending the opening of the SD number 5 Childcare Center at Steeples. And great to see that new facility opening in our community, and lots of great partnerships there. So BGC Cranbrook will be the provider for the before and after school care. It's also a Strong Start site for those kids who are getting ready for kindergarten. So very positive to see that new addition to our community. And of course, dovetails with our excitement about our project through the city for the new childcare center next to Western Financial Place as well. This past Saturday, I attended the art exhibition opening, the new exhibition at Cranbrook Arts. And it's a really neat exhibition of huge paintings about Nintendo. Anyways, very cool. So encourage folks to stop by for that. And of course, Cranbrook Arts is having their grand opening of their newly renovated spaces this Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. So encourage folks to go there. Cranbrook Arts is doing a great job. It is a wonderful asset to our community. And then last but not least, tomorrow is the Ktunaxa Nation Council Open House from 10 a.m. to noon, and then from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. I always have my fingers crossed for fry bread, and sometimes there's huckleberry jam. So if you haven't been to that open house and you haven't had a tour of that building, I would encourage you to attend that as well.
Thank you. Councillor Bissett.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one small thing. On 30th Avenue North, the intersection where it meets Panorama Road and Kootenai Drive, there's a four-way stop there that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense in my mind because it just doesn't seem to be a very busy intersection. So I'm just wondering if staff have time to, at some point, just look at that intersection and see if that could just be a two-way stop as opposed to a four-way, or maybe a roundabout someday in the future, because it just seems to not do much besides just impede the flow of traffic. Thank you.
Yeah, we can Council Peabody through the mayor, that change was made several years ago from a two-way based on some specific recommendations. In the future, there are specific plans to look at having a potential roundabout there with the addition of the 23rd Street connection that's in the major road network. But we can bring a more brief update on that item.
Councillor Statsky.
Thank you. So a bit of history on that. It used to be a three-way stop, and brought to my attention by an RCMP accident specialist who said this is just an accident waiting to happen. It should be a four-way stop. So that's a bit of the history put in place a while ago. A roundabout would be great, which we do have to get to in Cranbrook. Councillor Ray covered a number of the events that I attended in the last while, and I just want to add my congratulations to SD5 for Steeples Daycare, the great facility. I also attended the Friends of the Library book sales. If you haven't, you should go. Incredible deals on books, and they contribute thousands of dollars to the operation of the library. Very, very valuable asset to the community, and a great bunch of volunteers. Coming up next weekend, of course, there are Bucks games on Friday night and Saturday night. Saturday night is Pink the Rink, to remind people the inappropriateness of bullying. So if you looking for something to do, I know it's Valentine's Day, so pink is appropriate. Bring your sweetie to a Bucks game, but wear pink when you come. Of course, start of the Olympics. Some great sports entertainment coming up over the next 2 weeks. Heard from one couple the other day that said they turn the TV on when the Olympics are there, leave it on the whole time and feel like they're on vacation. So if you get the opportunity, let's sit there and cheer Canada on. Lots of great events coming up.
And I'd just like to acknowledge the new group of ambassadors, Cranbrook ambassadors that have been selected for this year. I had the pleasure yesterday of meeting with them and doing a information session on local government. We have a wonderful group of young ladies moving forward here, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing the growth and the transformation between now and June, because anybody familiar with the program, their parents won't even recognize them 6 months from now. So best of luck to them going through their transformation and their training. So all I have with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Blissett, Councillor Peabody, all in favor? Adjourned.